All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was Hands and Feet, one of my favorite songs by the Good Christian Music blog. Today, I just want to talk just off the cuff real quick, just have a quick motivational moment. I have the opportunity to just minister to so many different people throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year. And I just see the same thing over and over again, not just in their life, but in my life as well. And how many guys know that you can give advice to other people, but then when it comes to taking your own advice, sometimes there's a block. And man, when it comes down to the tactics of the enemy, he is so good at what he does. I see the same tactics over and over and over again. So when God wants us to be free and he wants us to be whole and he wants us to be complete in him, lacking nothing, free from bondage, free from all of our hurts, habits, and hangups, right? He has to put us through this process to where we begin to trust him so that we can give him our stuff, where we rely on him and say, and just basically have total dependency upon him instead of having total dependency upon ourselves because we're so used to handling it on our own, right? And so that process to where God is taking us from a place of hope to a place of victory and achieving like that goal of getting over that hump, whatever it is that you struggle with, that process, that in between is where so many of us get stuck. What is it that that the enemy, that Satan is using against you to keep you captive? Maybe it's you feel shame from your past, something that you have done, something that you have gone through, something that someone else has done to you, and it's shameful and it's a secret, and you keep it to yourself because if anyone finds out, then they'll judge you, or they'll think this, or they'll think that, and we think that has nothing to do with our growth with God, but it has everything to do with our growth with God. Why? Because as we want to become the women that God has called us to be, the men that God has called us to be, the enemy will take those things that we have hidden away, those things that cause us to have low self-esteem, to where we feel like we need to be perfect and we are just overachievers, whatever it is, whatever struggle we have, he takes it and he says, look, you aren't worthy to overcome this thing. That's not going to happen for you because you've got all of this filthiness in your closet. You struggle with this, you deal with that, you think this way. And so many times the things that we have gone through has caused us to develop this jacked up mindset that we struggle to give to God because of our past. What do I mean? For me, because I struggled with homosexuality, and for a time period, I didn't want to tell anyone. I kept it to myself. The product of that sin, the product of that struggle, it came out as, I struggled with lust. I struggled with pornography. I struggled with same-sex attraction, right? I struggled with, not even knowing how a healthy relationship between a man and a woman, how that's supposed to look, right? And so if I want God to fix those things, those areas in my life, I have to shed light to my garbage. I have to shed light to my past. But the enemy tells us so many times, you keep quiet. Don't even tell people about that because they're going to judge you. They're going to look at you differently. And I hear that over and over and over again. If people know what I really think, if they know what I really struggle with, if they really know what goes on in my mind, they will not talk to me. They will judge me. They will look at me differently, whatever it is. And that keeps us in this fantasy land to where we feel as though we cannot move. We feel as though we cannot move forward because whatever the case is. I see so many people that are trapped and unable to move forward because they have a wrong mindset when it comes to their struggles. They take all the ownership of their struggles and don't attribute a lot of it to whom it belongs or who started it, which is the enemy, not people. Let's get on the same page, not people, but the enemy who is behind all of that. If you have low self-esteem and you always want to be perfect, you always are an overachiever because you had to be that for your parents. In order for you to feel loved by them, you had to excel in school, right? You had to be smart. You had to be beautiful. You had to have a nice, pretty body, whatever it is, right? We take those same attributes and we throw them on God. And so when we do not meet that standard to where we aren't really lining up with everything in the Bible, but in the Bible where we fall short here or there, God doesn't love me. God's angry with me. God's not going to give me that blessing. God's not going to give me my heart's desires because I messed up too many times. There is freedom in talking about your stuff with another person, someone who will uplift you, someone who will put it into perspective, someone who will not judge you. I don't care what it is that people are like, what it is that they're going through. People think that even when they come to my office, that I am going to judge them. And that's far from the truth. It's far from reality. But the enemy gets us in that mindset to where we believe it. So then we stay silent. We remain silent. And therefore we stay trapped because we don't want to bring that stuff to light. And it gives the enemy so much power. So much power. If you just talk about it with someone else who will help you to see the enemy who is behind all this stuff. There is such a relief in that, a peace in that, taking the burden, off of you in that when someone else is like, wait a second, that's not how God thinks. That wasn't your fault. The fact that you are this way, it's because of your childhood, what you've been through. God can fix that. God can redeem that. What happened to you wasn't your fault. It's perspective. So whatever it is that you are keeping in the dark, whatever it is that you are hiding from people because you're scared of what they're going to do with it, that is nothing but the enemy. Yes, there are people who you need to not tell your stuff to. You have to use wisdom. But I promise you, there are people who you can tell that stuff to, and they will shed light onto the truth, the reality of the situation, of the circumstance, and help walk you to a place of freedom in that. When I share my deepest, darkest stuff, it's like boulders being lifted off of me. We don't want to keep pushing forward the generational curses in our family, right? We don't want to keep treating our children the way we were treated, the way our parents were treated, the way our grandparents were treated, because they don't know how else to deal with their emotions, right? Their anger, whatever it is. We need to say, you know what? I need to deal with that stuff. I want to let this stuff go, but it starts by being truthful and honest. I mean, I'm in charge of a Celebrate Recovery here in the Rio Grande Valley, and I love it. And Celebrate Recovery is a phenomenal program. It's a 12-step Christ Center recovery program. Whatever it is that you struggle with, man, I don't care if it's gossip, if, you were molested, anger, alcohol abuse, adultery, you were cheated on, whatever it is, Celebrate Recovery is a phenomenal program. You can go to celebraterecovery.com and go to the locator and find the closest Celebrate Recovery near you. It's a phenomenal program. It's a judge-free zone. So if that's you and you know that you need to speak about some stuff, you want to let go of that weight that is weighing you down so much, you need to take the first step. Stop asking God to do a miracle when He is asking you to take a leap of faith and put action to your words. He is going to ask for you to do something. Yeah, He's going to meet you. Yeah, He could do a miracle. But there's a lot of times that when He wants us to grow, so He says, we need to exercise your faith in me. I need for you to step out in faith. Go join this program. Talk to that person I've been telling you to talk to. Do what I've been asking you to do. Create that boundary because I've been asking you to create that boundary. We have to put action to our faith. Stop asking God to do what He is telling you to do for yourself. All right, guys. Here's light. This is Amazing Grace. Follow me at loveofthecross.com or on Facebook, Love of the Cross. Love you guys.